I am Dr. Constanza Lopez, Associate Professor of Spanish at the University of North Florida. I want to talk to you about a project that I lead at UNF, Embroidering for Peace and Memory. It started in March 2012 to commemorate Women's History Month. At the time, I had just published my book, Trauma, Memoria y Cuerpo, El Testimonio Femenino en Colombia, Trauma, Memory, and Body, which is about testimonial narratives of women who survived the armed conflict in Colombia. I was also teaching a class that I usually teach every spring semester, Women and Violence in Latin American Literature and Film. In this class, my students learn about political and private gender-based violence and femicide. For those of you who are not familiar with the term femicide, the basic definition is the killing of a woman on account of her gender. Some people say that men are also killed and have to endure sexual violence. However, femicide refers to the systematic killing of women around the world that many times is used as a form of control and regulation of women's bodies. About half of all femicides are committed by someone known to the victim, the husband, the boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, her father, etc. Many other femicides are done by legal and illegal armed groups. Femicide is prevalent even in the United States, but we do not know much about it. The victims of femicide are usually young women, girls, lesbian, and transgender women. In 2018, 3 transgender women were killed here in Jacksonville. Just like around the world, the killing of women is treated with impunity. There are not enough laws that protect women, and many of us do not even know that this exists. That is a reality. Sometimes, when we're learning about difficult subjects and the suffering of others, we experience something that experts call compassion fatigue. Therefore, we tune out the news and all that information that hurt us in order not to lose hope. However, the message that I want to convey in my classes is not about people suffering, but about how we can become aware of these situations that affect us and at the same time empower ourselves, take care of ourselves, and do something about it. I get a lot of inspiration from women around the world who are fighting for a better future for themselves and for their communities. In Spain, in France, all over Latin America, Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Brazil, in the Middle East, in Africa, women have come out of their houses, have taken over the streets to demand equality, to demand the end of femicide, and that all kinds of violence against them stop. They are using their bodies to carry the pictures of their loved ones who have been victims of femicide. They carry signs. They embroider the stories of the family members who have disappeared or who have died. But they also know that it takes a whole community to effect change. When women get together, they understand that they cannot do it alone, that they need men to recognize that these things are happening and to become partners in the fight against violence. So here at UNF, I decided to emulate what people around the world do in order to bring awareness about the topics that concern us all. My students and I got together for a week in March of 2012, and we embroidered about different topics. Because the struggle of feminism, it's about equality. It's not only about benefiting women, but about benefiting society as a whole. My students decided to embroider topics that were important to them, such as inequality, racism, immigration, the environment, and many other topics. When we were outside, people approached us asking about what we were doing. And once we explained the project to them, they decided to join us. Most people didn't know how or what to embroider, so we taught them. Some of them went home to think about what they wanted to do, and then they came back the next day to embroider with us. They learned that embroidering is writing with a needle and thread. That first year, we collected 30 pieces of embroidery. Up to date, we have over 400 pieces. And the event has become a university-wide project. As a matter of fact, a local high school, Stanton College Prep, joined our efforts in 2018, and now the Arts Honor Society in that school contributes with well thought out pieces of art, and many of their students come to UNF to volunteer every afternoon to clean and pick up. Also, in 2018, I started thinking what to do with all the pieces of embroidery that I had collected over the years. So I worked with then International Studies major Rebecca Weiner in order to build a website where we could not only display all the pieces of embroidery, but also describe each of them. For example, when people finish their project, they write down or send me an email explaining what inspired their piece. One of the students, for example, embroidered the maps of North and South Korea. In the South Korea map, this person wrote words in red: sister, father, friend. She wrote the same words in North Korea, but in white. The student wanted to represent how invisible the people of North Korea are because of their political situation. Another piece that I really enjoy is one that has no words. It has the map of China and the LGBT flag, like a rainbow, crosses over China. This embroidery was done by a Chinese international student who was very concerned about this basic human right, because in China, no one can talk about LGBT rights. Another thing that we did on the website was that we linked every embroidery piece to institutions within UNF and in our city. For example, if the embroidery is about LGBT matters, then we link that peace to the LGBT Resource Center on campus and to institutions in Jacksonville. Same thing with sexual violence pieces, which we linked with the Women's Center, the Victims Advocate in campus, and institutions around our city where people who are accessing our website can actually go and find information and help. Ideally, we will do that with every piece of embroidery that we have collected, but of course, this is all a work in progress. To me, one of the most significant moments of my year is the week that I'm outside with the students. Embroidering is an experience like no other, where we sit together around a table and we share and we build a community and we're working, but we feel so relaxed and so energetic at the same time. And when people finish their product and they get to hang it in the exhibition, it is an exciting moment. We take pictures and celebrate coming together as a real community. I cannot convey how amazing this moment really is. I do have to admit that since embroidery has been a very traditional activity that older women do, in the beginning, some students were hesitant. Some of my male students were a bit uncomfortable. I myself did not even know how to embroider in the beginning. I sort of remember what my grandma tried to teach me when I was a little girl, but then I started watching YouTube videos and that helped me learn, so I was able to teach people who came to our table. Then something amazing happened. Once we were outside, students taught each other and they brought new designs and ideas. We were able to overcome all those barriers about gender activities. And I have to say that a lot of men participate in my project because they are able to communicate and express themselves artistically and to enjoy a space that is pretty much banned to them. Many people come back the following year to participate again and again. As I said before, this is the most rewarding and wonderful part of my teaching experience as we all learn together, as we all learn from each other, and as we become a collective. Finally, if you want to participate in the Embroidery for Peace and Memory project, you can find us on the green at UNF on the week after spring break. You can take a look at the exhibit, which is always hanging on the trees, to find inspiration. If you don't know how to embroider, we can always teach you. However, if you want to start a project now, search for videos on YouTube. Here is a list of materials that you will need. A round hoop, a needle, hopefully with a big eye so that you can pass the thread easily, embroidery floss, a piece of cloth. I usually use a bandana size or bigger, either a pencil or a magic pen, because what you want to do is to draw your design before you start. I recommend that you start with something small, like a message in the middle of the cloth, and then you can add decorations around. If you're ambitious like me, then write the message that your heart desires. It usually takes me a very long time to finish my projects. If you want more information about the project, you can always contact me, send me an email, or pass by my office. And definitely follow us on Facebook and Instagram at UNF Embroidering for Peace and Memory. I hope you have enjoyed learning about the Embroidery for Peace and Memory project here at UNF, and I also hope to see you next March.